All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Small Guys Podcast. Today we are doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe on one of their own, a mission that could mean the end of the Guardians, if not successful. This movie has an 82% critic score and a 95% audience score. What'd you guys think of it?
It does not
definitely
deserve
stands.
a 95. This is at least a 10. This movie's probably a 10.
Wow.
All right, tell us why.
I need a hot take for the reviews radar.
There's our TikTok clip.
Yeah,
There
there you
you
go.
There's our TikTok. Now say your actual opinion, Andrew.
Yeah, now what do you think?
I enjoyed this movie a lot. It's a good trilogy.
Okay, so
I
let's
think-
open the bat, though. I want to ask you guys, is this the best MCU trilogy? So up there with like Cap,
Easily.
maybe Spider-Man?
I think
No.
so. What you got?
I
Mike?
think
What you
so.
got?
I would say so, and the argument that I was having earlier with Sanch, good friend.
Me
of the
too.
pod, not really an argument, but he brought up Cap, and I did put Cap in front of it. But on my drive home, long drive, a lot of time to think about it. What's really cool about the Guardians trilogy is the fact that it's just Guardians, Like you were,
Yeah.
I'm going to make that a very big point as we get into discussing this movie. But it's just Guardians. There's not a lot going on outside or like portraying like the rest of the MCU. You are watching whatever they are doing, and it's a great fucking time. And then you bring in Captain America, which don't get me wrong, phenomenal fucking trilogy. But that last one being a Cap movie, I don't even know. That's like a mini Avenger movie, dude.
Avengers 2.5.
Yeah. So
I mean,
no,
that's
this
my
guy,
question,
Brian.
because I think if in order it would go for me. Cap, Guardians, and then Iron Man. But again, thinking about it now, I almost want to put Guardians in that number one.
I do want to say before Mike goes, Nick Pell, friend of the podcast, who is the biggest Cap fan I think I've ever met, even him, he said that he thinks the Guardians trilogy is better.
But it's okay to have wrong opinions sometimes.
I think, but I
Well, their
think
own
that
opinions, Mike.
But I think Guardians is so much different compared to the other MCU movies and trilogies and all that because it's fresh. Like James Gunn had full range to do anything he wanted with these movies and explore all these different planets, universes, whatever they are considered. And I think that's what makes it so much fun to watch. And I mean, that's what's so different about this third movie is that it's easily one of the darkest Marvel movies we've ever seen.
Mhm.
And I mean, like,
Darkest.
yeah, that shit was sad as hell.
Just
No
a
other
straight
movie,
up.
no other
I
movie in
think-
the MCU had you tearing up the way that Guardians
Fuck
3
no,
did.
that's a wrong way to describe that. Emotional,
Well,
yeah.
I would say
Dark as
I'm on
hell,
the same
It's
page
dark.
as
How is it
It's
not
one of
dark?
the funniest movies we had in the MCU. How is it fucking dark?
It's not
Animal
it's-
cruelty.
Yeah, literally. If you
Oh, what are
own
you
a pet, then
fucking
you realize-
PETA? Are you
No, it has
PETA
nothing to
now,
do with
Josh?
that.
Dude, but it also like the kills and stuff throughout this were a little more gruesome than other ones.
Yeah.
They were.
And I don't know.
You
and
guys
when it
think this
comes-
is one of the darkest MCU movies?
I
And
think
when it
so, yeah.
comes-
Yes,
think so.
100%.
When it comes to it
shut
being
up.
funny, Mike, it's okay to
You're
be
outnumbered
wrong.
4-1.
Yeah.
But when it comes to it being funny too, at the same time, the Guardians have been really good about it, and all three of them, to where it's not that comedy that's in your fucking face and feels forced. Like it was all
Exactly
tasteful,
what I
you know. Like something would be sad, and then like Quill would say something, and it'd just be like, it's kind of funny, and you just
Yeah.
keep rolling with it. But like it doesn't take away from what's going on, you know.
No, and
Exactly,
that's
Brian.
the
I
good thing
said
about
that.
like them, like all together, like the Guardians crew is that they're all like we've seen them as many times as we have, not as much as all the other characters, but it's like a natural comedic relief, you know. Like
It's
it
a
doesn't feel
different-
forced.
It's a
on you.
different type of humor than like what we got. in
Yeah,
Thor.
when we're
Let's
used
say
to.
Thor with
Where
the goddamn screaming goats to bring up
goats
those
and
little
stuff. It
assholes
was
again.
obnoxious.
And you
Where
know
this
what?
was
Look
like
how good this
subtle
movie is.
one-liners.
I said I was going to do it every MCU movie. I'm dropping Thor's score even lower. Because what the fuck was that?
No, but,
Gotta
but
say,
let's hear Mike out. I think he's a little
Yeah, I
different
wanna-
than us. So I
I
want to hear
want to
Mike's
know
thoughts.
how this isn't dark.
Dude,
Or just
so
the
it's-
movie in general. What are your thoughts?
I liked it.
have
I liked
one
it for
like that
sure.
too, Josh.
It's definitely a good movie and a good cap to the trilogy. Personally, me, Captain America is my favorite MCU character. So like I'm gonna put the trilogy, Captain America trilogy, above it. Especially like I get like the first Avenger. It definitely is a little slow, but it kind of reminds me of like
That's a
the
good
Dark
movie.
Knight trilogy. Like Batman Begins is a little slower, so is Captain America, the first Avenger, and then the last two just like completely blow you out of the water. And I think that's pretty comparable to, like I said, the Dark Knight.
I think
And,
the second Captain America is one of the probably like top 5, top 10 best Marvel movies.
100%.
But isn't the first Guardians probably up there? And I don't know how you
It
feel about the
is.
other two, but you know,
First
Yeah,
Guardians
I
is
think-
up there.
I think the
Is there
second Guardians
Guardians?
is definitely the worst. I would do
Really?
1, 3, 2 in my opinion.
I would
Yeah,
go 1,
I
2,
would do
3.
1, 3,
I would-
2, but I'm
I'd
not
go
going
1, 2,
to
3.
slander the second one. The second one was still good.
It was good. I'm not
And-
saying that it was bad. I'm just
And
saying
so, like, when I
me
say
personally.
it's in last, I don't mean it's in last like, oh, get that stinker out of here. Like, no, it's just like it's in last because one is so goddamn nostalgic. Like, no one knew who the Guardians were. Came out with a banger of a soundtrack. You
Yeah.
watched them kick ass throughout the whole movie. It was funny. The Peter Quill, him doing the fucking thing and then blocking the fucking, that was amazing.
yeah.
If we're doing off a soundtrack, this is definitely the worst out of the 3,
Well, yeah.
in
I
my
don't know.
opinion.
I don't know. This
I
one had
think
Beastie
so.
Boys. I was in.
I know that was the
This
only good one. I think that and
Creep
they-
by
obviously,
Radiohead.
That was
Yeah,
good, but like
that's
the ending one where they're all dancing by Florence the Machine, like I wasn't a fan of that.
But
I
I
feel
like
they
that.
could've done
I didn't
something
like
with it.
that either. The 2000s
No.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this too, and we'll talk about the soundtrack in a minute. But I talked to Nick Bell about this too, and I've heard people say like the second one's actually their favorite of the 3, and personally I agree. I think it's 1, 3, 2, but me and Nick Bell kind of talked about it, and we were like, this kind of reminds us almost of the Toy Story trilogy, where like all 3 are really good in their own ways, and it's kind of hard to compare to the 3. And I wanted to know if you guys think that's a fair enough comparison. I'm not saying these are like Toy Story, but I'm just saying like in regards to all 3 being really good in their own ways, right? Like at the end of 2, and I just rewatched both of the movies after we saw the third
I
one.
think that's fair, and especially if they made a Guardians 4, I would be pissed like they did with Toy
Yeah,
Story. Like
100%.
Well,
3
James
was a
Gunn
great
said
ending.
James Gunn said they're not really gonna make a.
Yeah,
Well, if they
because
did it
this
with the
is
new
like-
team, though, if they did it with the new team, like that we see at the end, we'll
You
talk about
guys
that
can,
later.
you can keep that new team. Honestly,
Yeah,
that's
you
just my
keep that
opinion.
new team.
Yeah.
I liked how they ended this. I said this right after the movie 2. I think I told Josh, or maybe it was Mike. I don't remember who. Maybe I didn't even tell anyone. But anyway, I said that I really liked, although they didn't kill someone off in this movie. I mean, they teased us a lot with
Kind
it.
of wish that they did, but also I love
So,
the story that they wrote.
I know. I think there's like a split between people that like wish they did, where I fall into the other camp where I'm happy they didn't, because I felt like the band breaking up at the end was equally sad.
I agree.
Like, I thought that had the same amount of emotion as
Perfectly said,
killing
Andrew.
Peter.
So my thing with like the new Guardians team is that I feel like they show them fighting like different threats in the universe or whatever, and I feel like we shouldn't see that in an like a Guardians 4 movie or like a new movie. Like I feel like they give you like a tease knowing that they're out there like still fighting other things, and then maybe you'll see them in one of the Avengers movies like down the road, and they just
Yeah.
pop up because everyone wants to see Groot and Rocket and Adam Warlock. I don't think anyone really gives a shit about the new girl and like how she has Captain Marvel powers and like how does that even happen? They don't even tease that.
Well, I
And
mean,
then-
it's kind of teased though, like kind of when all the kids are coming off of the High Evolutionary's like ship, like it's like he's doing some crazy.
And she's
shit.
the
He's-
one
he's
running.
doing some
She's
crazy
the one
shit.
running on the wheel too.
Yeah, but they said that those kids go off of 1 hour sleep a week, only 30 calories consumed, and they don't like they're just a different species that he.
Well,
created.
obviously, it's going to be changed though when they're going to be doing more and different when they're
But
not on
Yeah,
the
I'm-
High
he's
I'm just
Evolutionary.
saying, how does
testing
she-
different things?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, how does she have powers? Like they don't hint it towards the end of the movie. Like she doesn't break the locks on all the things.
She was
like, shit
made
like
by
that,
the High Evolutionary. Like that's
but
supposed
she
to
was
be
there.
That's an end credit scene. They don't need to give a lot of context.
I know that's what I'm saying, but I don't think that they deserve a separate movie themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
agree
well,
with
I
you.
think they definitely will show up in one of the Avengers movies coming down, like
Yeah.
you said, down the road. Yeah, I guess we could talk about soundtrack first, and then just kind of work through the movie a little bit. I think I agree. I don't think it out of the 3, all 3 movies have an amazing, amazing soundtrack, and this one is definitely one of them. I think though it's probably my least out of the 3 soundtrack wise, but I will say this soundtrack still, and I've done this with the other 2 Guardians movies. I've listened to the soundtrack over and over since seeing the movie. We saw it like 4 or 5 days ago, and I just keep repeating all the songs. So, I think that says something about a movie. But what did you guys think of the soundtrack?
I want to say piggyback off you there, Josh. Backpack
Mhm.
on over here. Well, okay, so the soundtrack, I understand, definitely. I don't even think weak's the word. I think it's more so just the tone of the movie, you
Mhm.
know. And for them to use "creep" and like, you know, listening to the song doesn't take a lot. It's not a lot of stuff that you just listen to the goddamn words and you understand the guy feels like an outcast. You have that playing as Rocket is like going through it, and we don't even know what the fuck's going on really at that point. And then we see throughout the whole movie, and it just really set the tone. So I think the soundtrack was good in that sense, you know. And I think
Yeah.
that's where we're thrown off because again, we're not getting like Mr. Blue Sky right at the beginning and watching this fucking great scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other
No,
thing too. Is like I said about it being dark. Is that it opens up with Rocket going through it. All the gang, like Peter's at the bar, pissed drunk,
Yeah, he's
and then like everyone's just like, you know, Nebula's being the mom of the crew and all that, and it's just not like the first opening's like happy go lucky. Second one is the
Yeah,
exact same.
he's a goofball. He's going to take something.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
you get this third one, and it's just Rocket like mumbling.
It's
the words,
more
and it's
serious
like,
and it's more emotional. I just don't think it's not dark. When I think of dark MCU movies, I think of Doctor Strange, and I think of like Infinity War, and then like I would even consider like one of the Black Panthers even more dark than this. Like it's not dark; it's just emotional. Like you're just sad because it's through the eyes of Rocket. Like yeah, he was. You know,
it's
it was
definitely
sad what
dark.
he
The
went
fact
through.
that his 3 friends get shot and he's trying to break them out, and all the Guardians are sitting there.
Hey, Infinity
Even-
War, half the fucking universe disappears.
they
like
It doesn't matter. You don't see them. They don't die a gruesome death. They just get ash and they come back. They
You
get
act
shot.
like you act like
and then
fucking
literally-
Blade killed them. Where they fucking
Okay, so Mike,
slit his-
Mike, when Baby Rocket enters the cage and he's bleeding, and his first word is hurt,
Yeah.
you didn't think, "Damn, that's kind of
Hey,
fucked."
And the fact
hey,
that-
hey, guess what? It's emotional, but it's not like it's not.
That is
That's
dark,
kind of
like,
dark,
you know?
Mike.
It's
That's
dark.
kind of dark.
Hey, what about when
Wow,
Nebula
you
is
can name
watching?
3 scenes where it's dark. If you name any MCU movie,
What
there's
about
3
Hey,
scenes
Counter
where
Earth
it's dark.
blows up?
Thanos literally picked Nebula apart and replaced it piece by piece, and she's sitting there wincing at Rocket being put together.
yeah, and says,
Yeah,
this
Like
is
she's
worse.
like, "This is worse than me."
And I'll say this too, just to prove our point, and we'll get back to it later. When they take off his fake skin
So
and show what
sick.
his face looks like, that shit I bet can give like an 8-year-old a nightmare. Like that's scary
100%.
as fuck for an MCU movie.
Easily.
One of the most emotional, but I don't think they're one of the darkest.
Adam
but
Warlock
that's my
punching
opinion.
that guy too was funny as fuck. I didn't think they'd actually show that.
Yeah.
Punching him or burning the guy.
There's too much comedic relief, and it's too like back and forth when it comes to the tone. For
I think it was funny, but it
see,
definitely
I think
is
it was a
nothing
good
compared
balance,
to the other two.
actually.
no, it is
do
a good
too.
balance, but I'm saying there's too much of a balance to not be to be considered dark. Is what I'm
I
saying.
consider it dark because I really don't want to rewatch this movie because of how emotional
You
and
consider
dark
it dark
was.
because you were scared when they took the skin off. You're like, oh!
Oh, I was waiting for that the entire movie. I'm so glad they showed that,
Yeah.
and that's
no,
what makes
but
it dark.
So yeah, let's talk about like the beginning when Adam Warlock shows up, right? It's kind of crazy right off the bat, right? With the
Yeah.
Rocket getting hurt and Groot getting pretty much his whole
I
body
lo-
destroyed, and
I liked how they start this movie. 2 things right off the bat. One, I felt like we actually got to see Drax not be a bitch for once.
Yeah.
Like he actually was like probably the only person that could hold his own for at least a second against Adam Warlock until he gets his ass handed to him
Go
too.
on.
Nebula too, but
Nebula
I mean
got-
the others.
She would have been way dead. She was picked apart like the ring.
Dude, I could
And then she just snaps back.
I could say white is a light color and Aiden be like, oh no, it's not a light color. It's
I'm just saying,
You would
she's
say
literally a
anything-
robot,
you would
and we
say
see
anything
her.
to oppose me.
We
Just
see
shut
her
up.
dismantled like that shit in Stranger Things, and then she just snaps back to
Bro, all
place.
I'm
Like,
saying is,
exactly.
she'd be
Warlock,
long
but
gone.
The way he punched Drax, if he would have hit Nebula, you would have heard like the Lego noise, and she would have just popped apart.
Thank you, Brian. I liked that
wish.
Drax. We got to see him in the beginning, like actually be a little bit stronger. And then the other thing that I want to bring up from that beginning, that kind of like after Warlock has done his damage, and Peter gets his ass handed to him, and they're carrying him, and there's that scene of Peter getting carried. That was really good. They did good with the trailer because we all kind of
Thought
thought
he was
like,
dead.
oh, no. Yeah.
Instead, he
Well,
was
so
a
did you
big
guys-
drunk.
did you guys see that thing on TikTok that it was like an actual like 35-pound doll,
yeah, it's crazy.
Oh,
and
I
it like
did know that.
breathes? Yeah, it
It's so
breathes. It's
realistic.
crazy.
So 2 things with that really quick. So one, they picked up right off the Christmas special. You know, if you didn't watch that,
That
you
was
wouldn't
good.
know that Mantis and Quill were brother and sister.
Yeah.
So that's
And the other
that's
thing
one.
too is
But they mention it.
bought Nowhere from the collector. So
Yeah.
that's like obviously their new place. I love the end too. Like, I mean, we're not going to go too far in advance, but the way that they use it to their advantage.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Sick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, really quick, Adam Warlock. I know a lot of people are really split on his character and the way he was portrayed, but I'm actually a fan of it just because of the way they went about it. The fact that he got, released from his cocoon, whatever you want to call it, early. He's literally like a kid in a fucking Superman's body, pretty much. Like, of course he's gonna act the way he acts. So I'm really pissed that like some people are really getting mad at the fact that like he's not like some like crazy all like OP character. Because if that was the case, this movie would be done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it
Like,
would've
the
been
Guardians
over.
would be dead. It'd be the Guardians of the Three. Everybody would be dead.
It's a
There'd be no
perfect way to
Guardians.
write his character.
I think like going into it too, did they even like? Because I had no clue High Evolutionary was even going to be in this fucking movie. Like I didn't watch any trailers. I'm known for that. The only villain name I heard thrown around was Adam Warlock. So if you went into it knowing that, like I was kind of thrown back. I was like, why is he
think
not? Like, being
They
the
actually
big
did a
bad?
good job with. I only watched the first trailer, I think, and I don't remember it that well. But I feel like they did a really good job of being vague, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Like I
like-
kind of went into this movie not knowing exactly what was going to happen. I just
Well,
knew it was
no,
gonna
the
be
one
bad.
thing I hated about the promo, like the marketing for this movie, is they released so many clips.
See,
Like
I
I didn't watch
like,
any of them.
Well,
No,
that's
I
the
literally
thing,
watched
though.
the original trailer and that was it.
Yep.
Well, they
same
give
here.
you the trailers, but like the order of all the clips is like mixed around, so it makes you think
Yeah, so you
like,
don't-
oh, when they're
Yeah.
when they're all in the color suits and they're jumping, like, oh, that's probably the end, but it's not the end. It's like
No.
two-
I just hated. I absolutely
quarter of the
hated
way
that they
through.
dropped the F-bomb like clip before the movie came out. I hated the
I
fact
didn't
that
know
Oh, I
they.
didn't even know that.
F-bomb was
Yeah, they
funny.
did that. They also showed like Rocket and his friends. Like that should have been all kept secret. And then they also mentioned that Adam Warlock was like a kid. And that's the thing. I think that they did a great job with him. Like especially writing that. Like, all right, how do we nerf him a little bit to where it makes sense? But I feel like when they were like, oh, he's like a newborn baby. Like I didn't think he was that childish in the movie.
Yeah.
He just didn't know right from wrong.
That was Kenny
like a
from-
baby.
Yeah, but he didn't say like stupid shit.
That was Kenny from Mega, right?
What'd you say,
Yeah.
Brian?
As soon as he came on screen, all they go, "You guys are getting paid."
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah.
No, I thought he did a good ass job as Adam Warlock though.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
I'm
didn't know
excited to see
that.
him.
I didn't know that F-bomb video was posted before. Because honestly, that's probably one of the funniest MCU.
And then what? And then open
Moments.
the fucking door.
It's so good.
She was like, "Those were awful directions."
And then
Yeah,
he goes,
so-
I busted out laughing in the movie theaters when I heard.
I
that.
absolutely love Nebula's like arc. I think
They
that's one of the
did,
best out of everyone.
They did a really good job in this movie too, addressing things like as you thought about them. Like one with the door, like why the fuck is it taking her so long to open the door? Two, when they're driving through the neighborhood and there's like this gang getting beat up. I literally leaned over. Who's next to me? I think Cody. And I go, "This is a perfect society." And like a second later, they literally say that. Like I think
Yeah.
Peter's like, "This is a perfect society."
Then he goes,
Oh,
"Oh, you're wrong.
Squid
You're
did
right."
it.
he blows
Matched
it
to,
up.
what is it, like lizards or something like that? Frog people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see they had a lot of that like realistic, like you're thinking it, and they kind of say it on the screen.
Ooh.
Especially with Peter gets in the car, and my first thought is like, "Yo, this bro doesn't know how to.
He's
He don't know how to drive." Yeah.
Went across the
Stop it
grass.
going. Dude,
I'm like,
but then you're talking about that, Andrew, but what about the absolute best part is when they're in the elevator at that organic place and he's like, yeah, somehow I was dating her and then her father threw her off a magical cliff and then she comes back. Like, dude, it's so good.
And
he
then
goes-
Nebula's
he goes,
like-
"You left out some important plot points, but that about
But-
sums it up."
Yeah.
I do love too when he's talking to Gamora and like talking about their old times. He goes, "Sounds like you should date her." And Quill like
Oh,
kind of
dude.
looks at her and goes, "Stop looking at me like that."
yeah, he's
Your
like,
eyes
"Could-
are beautiful.
Because
They were changed as a
I
torture.
never
good
realized
set.
how black your eyes are.
Because he picked a dark set.
But yeah, so actually, two things. Gamora was actually supposed to die after the second Guardians, but Kevin Feige actually convinced James Gunn not to kill her off. And
Because
then
they had
he
something
didn't.
cooking.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that leads into this. So he didn't know what was going to happen in Infinity War Endgame. So he pretty much kind of had to freestyle this, like this third movie, pretty much off of like other people's like character arcs, like the way like they're like continuing them. So that's kind of why it played out the way it did for the third too.
Did you guys like this? Sort of skips to the end here, but I want to bring it up. Did you like that Gamora and Quill pretty much go their separate ways?
Yeah,
That's
because it was cool how much she was loved by the fucking Ravengers, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was cool to see that go full circle. Also, Sylvester. I did not know Sylvester was going to be in this fucking movie.
He was in the
This is
second
the
one.
second one.
yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember all the Ravagers pull up for Yandu like before
I
at that,
fucking forgot
Yeah.
about
and that's
that.
where you meet the one girl.
I
Not you don't
completely
meet her,
forgot
but you
about
see her. She
that.
rolls out that red carpet and slow shit.
Yeah.
What
High
about the one
Priestess.
Ravager that knew like magic? That's kind
Yeah.
of crazy.
So they said that in a different universe, he's the Sorcerer Supreme, and he
Yeah,
wears
cool.
the same cloak that Doctor Strange does.
That's sweet.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That's sick as fuck.
That's dope.
Yeah.
But what about
That's-
the little robot head? Like in the second one, Miley Cyrus voiced it, and then she didn't come back for the third one.
Yeah,
which
the
I feel like
second
is just
in
a
this
fucking
in this
fumble
movie,
the
she's
bag.
played by same actress that plays Hawkeye's wife.
yeah.
So,
No, that's
or
the
does she play
otter.
Lila?
Yeah,
She
she
plays
plays
Lila.
Lila.
Yeah.
She's a different MCU character then.
Miss Minutes.
Miss
Yeah,
Minutes.
Miss
There we
Minutes.
go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
really quick though, I want to go back to Andrew's question with Gamora and her arc.
Mhm.
That's actually kind of one grief I have with this movie. I wish at the bare minimum, her and Quill would have had like something. Like I know they have like that moment at the end where it's like, I bet we were fun. You would have no idea. Like
I
But
like
that's what
that.
makes it worse. I feel
that,
like
dude. I like that.
I didn't like it that much, man. I wish it would have been a little bit more that like could have
I
hinted
think
at
it would have
something.
been actually worse if she came back around. You
Well,
know?
no, not even. I think it was a good idea that she didn't come back around, but like I just wanted to hint at it a little bit more for like a future thing. But I
think
still
it's
think
fair.
that like him following the arc he does back to his grandpa's house. Now I know I'm spoiling things now,
For
but like
for
I think
me,
that's
I liked personally that she didn't go back because it helped solidify the we're breaking up, all of us. Like
yeah.
we're all going on, and I like that but that's me. Everyone's got, like I said, I
Yeah.
feel like this is one of the MCU movies where like, you're actually, me and Josh were talking about this. Like, you're either gonna really like this movie or you're not, and that could be one of the reasons. Another is if people can't handle I saw a couple negative reviews because they didn't like the animal cruelty. Like they were like,
I just saw a tweet today that said PETA was the most like this was the most animal friendly movie because they went back and saved all the ones in the cages.
Yeah, but they blew
Yeah.
up a whole town of them.
Well,
Yeah.
those were
A
whole
like
Earth.
hybrids.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't real.
Literally a
animals.
whole planet.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we got to give props. We got to start talking about Chukwudi Uiji.
Is that how you say
Fucking
it?
High
great villain, dude.
Dude.
Yeah.
Great villain.
And
Anytime
she-
he's on screen, fucking locked in, dude.
Oh, dude, his
So
yelling. He deserves the next Oscar if anyone's
Harder,
in the
dude.
MCU, bro. Like
Ugh.
Angela Bassett deserved that shit. This
But,
guy
like-
is on her tailcoats, bro.
Anytime he's on screen, man. And like the only thing I've seen him in was Peacemaker.
Yeah.
And then I remember them hinting, like he said that, oh, he's gonna be playing the High Evolutionary when they brought him out in that panel. And I'm like, damn, like this is gonna be fucking good, dude. And then we see it every time he's on screen, crazy. And
Well-
literally, he like, I think he, like I said, top 5 villain in my opinion.
I want to ask you guys this, and I asked Andrew. I think there is potential for a debate that he probably is one of the most cruel MCU villains we've gotten. Now, I know you're going to say Thanos, right? But Thanos at least thought he was helping the universe, for poor people or people that couldn't eat, things like that. In this, he's straight up torturing animals, humans, kids, like cruel,
himself.
killing them. Yeah, for himself.
Well,
Now, he's trying to build a
design-
perfect society.
That's so wrong though, because
It is. That's 100% how it
No,
is.
I'm saying your argument's wrong because he wants to make a perfect society, just like Thanos. Thanos kills half the fucking world. He's just doing the same thing, but he's again just like working down the lines of like finding out things that work and don't work to get to that end goal, just like Thanos did.
No, I understand that, but it's the difference between Thanos and High Evolutionary is that he's building planets and he's the god above everyone else.
Yes.
Thanos wasn't gonna do that and then put a statue up of himself. Like he's brainwashing.
He went to a
be
farm.
Yeah, he was just retiring. He was an old fuck.
But dude, no,
And even
bro.
Nebula
But
says
this
in
guy
this
is
movie,
trying to.
even Nebula says in this movie that Rocket was tortured far worse than she was by Thanos. I think that's key there too.
One person.
But then
from
also
each
remember
side.
they said
But she was the most tortured person by Thanos. She was ripped apart and
You
put
don't.
back
You
together.
don't know that for sure. Do you know every torture?
She said that in multiple movies.
Well, no,
So
and you gotta think
I'm gonna play
that.
devil's advocate here. Thanos did, like actively go to worlds, although it was split at random. But he would literally have them split down the middle, and like you might watch your mom get shot while your dad's next to you. Like think of that
Yeah.
scene in Infinity.
But painless.
So,
He's not torturing them.
I don't know. I
Still
mean,
pretty
dude,
brutal.
I don't know. It's open for debate.
They're up there, but I mean, you gotta think how many times. This is the first time we saw the High Evolutionary do this. He's been doing it for thousands of years, and then
Yeah.
we
Same
just
thing
see
with
how
Thanos.
and literally, what's his name? Just says one word. He's like, "Oh, perfect society." He goes, "You're right," and then just blows up the fucking planet, and that's just like nothing. And he's got that big ass ship that they didn't even show like the scale of it, which I was pissed off at. Like that's like a imperial
It was
destroyer
That's
in the
Death
yeah.
Star.
Yeah, literally, it's like as big as that, and you saw the tiers that they had, and they had full populations in those like tiers.
Yeah, and these are
That's
actual like
insane.
people. I mean, they have Sears photos in their house. Like they're normal people who have jobs and like
Old age,
It's not like
they
they're
got
just-
kids. They just
yeah,
randomly
like they have
grow
lives.
up.
Like yeah,
So, while we're on the topic, though, when they first show up at Counter Earth, he goes, "We come in peace," and little girl throws the ball, and Drax just hits her in the face.
So
with
funny,
it.
dude.
That was
Yeah, so,
fucking hilarious.
Brian, that was a part in the trailer, and I wish they didn't show that.
Me
Oh,
too.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
did not see that.
Yeah, so
You guys-
that was
you
really
guys gotta
funny.
get on this wave of not watching trailers.
We have a movie podcast, so we have to talk
yeah,
about them.
we do this.
Um,
every
It
podcast.
builds the hype.
Yeah, So we didn't talk about when they go to what's that place called? It's like Ogier or something like that, where it's like it looks like a human ear with the
Oh, it was so
you know what I'm talking about?
gross.
Where
It's
they
the-
Yeah.
where they break through the three like portals.
Yeah,
And they wear the
yep,
color
and they're wearing the
suits,
Among Us suits. Yep. Yeah. So what do you guys think
2001:
of
A
that
Space
whole?
Odyssey. suits.
when Quill was
Nathan
talking to
Fillion was there.
Yeah.
And Ratcatcher 2 was there.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was her when we originally watched it. The girl with the contacts and the red skin that Peter tries to seduce or whatever.
Yeah.
Tries to
Oh, and then
charm.
James Gunn's wife was there, and I heard Aiden like clap because he was all excited to see her. And
It's kind of my feet.
dude, when she got shot in the leg, I started cracking up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how people are upset about him putting them in there, but like and then they point out in Guardians 1 and 2, like literally his entire family's in there in the
What
background.
about
Sean,
Infinity
why would you
War
not pay?
with what's his name? The Russo brother in the
Anthony
in
Russo?
the damn he's in the damn movie.
Yeah, and I think Joe's in the Winter Soldier. So
That's some Tarantino type shit.
He's
man.
adopted. Yeah, literally.
Shit, if I directed a movie, I'd want to see. I would
Fuck yeah.
want my face in it too.
Yeah.
Imagine
man.
directing a movie and you're the main character.
Yeah, that's
That's just fucking. You're just selfish at that point.
Like,
Yeah.
like Bradley Cooper did it in A Star Is Born.
Ben
You know,
Affleck's
like-
done it.
Oh,
Yeah, you
fucking
can direct and still.
Michael
star.
B. Jordan did that in Creed 3.
Creed
Yeah,
3.
man.
Yeah, Andy wins.
The goat
It'd
of
be different
it.
if he
James
lost.
Gordon.
But,
Levitt,
what's his name?
But no, when they're on that planet that you're talking about, Josh, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like drilling through the surface, and Quill like tries to like mute out everybody and talk to Gamora himself, and then they're just all sitting there, and Drax is like, "We've been listening to the whole thing." that scene was so funny, dude.
It was
So
funny
funny.
too. It's funny too because he's like, I hit the blue button. That should be the blue suit, and then she starts explaining it like, no, green is red and orange is blue, and
That's perfect Guardians too.
Yeah, yeah, that's too.
and I think
funny.
she's like, it's so intuitive, and Quill's just like, what?
No, and what I told Andrew too, and this is different from like Love and Thunder, right? Where it's like Love and Thunder is just joke. Whereas like this movie has reoccurring jokes, which I feel like that's the best thing for like comedy movies in general, right? Like the Nathan Fillion part where he's like, yeah, we got one of those guys too. And then they mention
Yeah,
it later on when Adam Warlock's there. He's like, yeah, we got one of those guys too. Like you bring back the joke around 30 minutes later and it's still funny and it like works. So like I love that
It's
about this
not
movie.
a screaming goat.
No,
Yeah, it's
the
not
best part
screaming
about
goat.
that, like Organic Planet, whatever they were at, getting the one dude's head for Rocket stuff. I think Gamora was like one of the best characters in that entire scene because she's obviously like on a rampage. She's just shooting people left and right, like, and they can't stop her. Like they can't control her. And then so she's just doing her own thing and like she's not letting up.
I thought Drax was gonna die when he got shot.
Oh yeah.
I legit thought he was
that
dead
the
in
end
the
for him.
fountain.
Well, that's the other thing too is like Andrew said how like quick of a start it had at the beginning when or whoever said it when Adam Warlock comes in and starts shitting on everyone, blowing up the entire planet like or the head of nowhere. I mean, we obviously knew that we were getting into this movie expecting someone to die, and then you get a hot start like that. You're like, oh shit, is Rocket dead already? Like this fast? And then you're like, oh well, is Peter dead or is then you get to this scene. And you think Drax is dead, and they it just keeps going. Every scene just had you on your toes because you don't know what's gonna happen next.
And that's what I liked is because they put Rocket like basically in a coma and he's gonna die right away. In the back of your head, or at least for me, I'm thinking throughout the movie, Rocket's gonna survive. They're killing someone else. Maybe it's Drax, maybe it's Quill. So, like you said, Aiden, with that scene with Drax, I'm like, oh shit, they're killing Drax right here. And they might still kill Quill later too. Like I don't know. So they did
especially
a really good
when he
job.
gets shot once, you're like, oh, all right. But then he gets shot twice, and he gets that slow mo cam. You're like, oh, he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, damn.
So,
yeah,
bro,
like,
you
what
got
the fuck
fucked
is
up
that
too
gun?
much. You got fucked up too much for Mantis just to carry him back and him be fine, magically be fine like 2 minutes later in the movie.
Well, what do you think about Mantis doing some crazy Matrix shit? We've never seen her do that stuff before.
Yeah.
Well, do you
I
remember?
thought that was cool.
Dude,
There's some forgettable
because
parts.
you were
in this
madly
movie.
in
Let's
love
not
with
forget
him.
that.
Do you remember in the
shit
second
was
movie
hilarious.
though?
That was funny, Brian.
Do you remember the second movie though, where they're like crash landing the ship and Drax is like hanging out by that wire, just
Yeah, and then he's
smacking
gonna
every
die by
train?
2 shots.
Like the dude's really durable, yeah. So I don't know. It wasn't not believable that he could walk it off. I guess after the fact.
No, it definitely makes sense.
Now, here's a question. So, one, I want you to know going into it, I totally thought I had picked two that were going to die this movie, and I said Drax, and then I said Rocket, right? So, when the movie started from the jump and Rocket got fucked up like that, goes into the coma, I'm like, all right, he's not dying. And I didn't know that we were getting all this backstory about him because I texted Josh about this right after I got out of the theater. We didn't really go too deep to it, too deep into it because we knew that we were going to talk about it here. But just a couple things, like the one thing I had said though, and I wanted to ask you guys this: did you feel at a certain point like you were missing Rocket? Like throughout this whole adventure, I was like, "Fuck!" Like I need Rocket here. But then it would jump, and I got this epic backstory about him, and I was like, "Okay, I guess that makes up for it." But again, it felt weird not having him around.
No, 100%. But I think it made up for it once he like when it got to that scene where he builds that key card. And then like all his friends die, and I think like that's all right, this is getting better. And then his friends die, he claws the shit out of the High Evolutionary, which is great.
Which is
and
cool.
then and then you go, and then you finally he comes back, and then once he comes back, it's fucking game over. He's about to go ape shit on the High Evolutionary and all that.
Sorry, Andrew. Another thing that I will say that I have a grief with is you don't see his intelligence up until this movie, and then all of a sudden he's some key to fucking
What? Yes, you do.
He
makes all the team's gadgets and shit.
Not
Yeah.
to
They escape
not to
from
this
prison.
capacity though. Not to this capacity. Like he's the one key for the High Evolutionary to create a perfect society. Yeah, right.
Well, it's the brain of a raccoon from Earth,
The brain of a raccoon.
who's probably might be even smarter than Iron Man, Tony Stark. Yeah, I think it's.
That's 1,000,000%. But I'm saying it wasn't portrayed like that up until this point.
I don't know. I think it was.
I think like obviously they do more like equations and fucking the way he's talking as a kid is like all right. He's obviously smarter, but you see in the first Guardians, he literally takes everything and mashes it together in the matter of seconds and creates this anti-gravity, and then they completely take off with all those.
Yeah,
shits.
he says he's broken out of 17
Sick.
different prisons. Like clearly, the guy's
and he's the
genius.
one doing in the
Again.
second movie. He's in the miners, like things, just fucking all the ships up.
Like actually,
Yeah.
if you would have read comic 217B, then you would know that he was that smart.
217B.
Fuck you, Brian.
No,
I thought you were the MCU guy. Come on.
I think that they just did a good ass job with Rocket, and I mean, the only thing I can really pick from this. I mean, we're still getting through the rest of the movie, but I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm glad no one died, and they did it in a good way, but I feel like someone had to die.
I
And then
think
Yeah,
Go
but
ahead.
again, like Andrew said, I think someone should have died, but the way that they wrapped it up and then breaking up as the Guardians was also just as rough, you know? And
Yeah.
then we get to see essentially like a happy ending, but a happy ending where our friends, not that they're not friends anymore, are all completely now separated.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think for me, I think Quill would have probably been the one that I thought should have died, and I really thought he was gonna die at the end.
But that would have been such a bad way for him to die, dude.
I know, and that's the one thing.
And that's
if
where
it was like to save like somebody to like get on nowhere, then that's completely different. But like the way he did it for a fucking MP3 player,
If he would have
that
saved
was
Gamora,
Yeah, but that is in character though, Mike.
that is true. That's very true. But what I was getting at here was like if he would have died, that would have been another
Yeah.
perfect reason for them to kind of disband the way they did. It would have been even more
Yeah.
of a reason, you know?
I agree.
yeah, I mean, it
So-
would have made sense. Imagine him like being on the other edge of the ship, and Cosmo like passes out, and the ship's literally blowing up, burning, and he just says peace out like to them, and just like gets eaten by the flames. Like imagine that. Like that would be a good death, but it would suck.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least it's like it's better than him going out to space like he did in the second movie and fucking almost dying from freezing to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'd think after the Yondu incident that they'd all have those like little spacesuits with them, the space condoms where they can like breathe, you know, put them
Yeah.
on them. But and then too in this movie we didn't mention this, and I saw a lot of complaints about it. In this movie he does not use his mask at all or his space boots.
well, you gotta
No, he
remember though
didn't.
how fast he left nowhere. He took off
Huh?
like the second this shit hit.
Yeah, but they knew they were going to save Rocket. So like
Yeah,
if
but
you know
he
you're going on a
was, like,
mission,
literally ran out of his room, and then instantly they were on the ship, and they just took off from the ship.
That is crazy. He doesn't put a mask on once, does he?
no, he does not, and he can breathe with that and fly through space. We've seen it in the first movie, and it breaks. So it breaks in Guardians 2 when he's fighting his dad, and I'm like, oh, okay, it breaks. That's why it's not in the third movie. And then I watched Infinity War, and I'm like, oh, he has it there. So clearly he has it. You'd think you'd be on the ship. And another thing too, and I didn't think about this till after the fact. If you think about it, the first movie is in 2014. The second movie is 3 months later in 2014. This third movie takes place in 2026. So it's been a long time. I mean, we see these characters in Infinity War, Endgame with the snap. We see them in Thor: Love and Thunder. We see them in the holiday special. But I'm just saying, overall movie aspect, it's been years, you know, since we've seen them. So
Well, I know I read
I
something
think that's
about
kind of interesting.
Nebula and Rocket being together for like 5 years or something.
Yeah, so they're the only two Guardians left during the blip, and I like that. If you notice, when Rocket wakes up, the first thing he thinks about is Nebula okay? Because he sees her jacket. So it shows that those two characters have gotten very close in that 5 years together, which I think that was really cool.
And she gets him Bucky's arm, which I had a good theory
We
that
think it's
he
Bucky's
like
arm,
I don't know
the one that's on her.
It's a million.
No, it's not. So he came out and said that it's he like was so thankful for the present that he built her that arm, and that arm is like OP as shit.
Yeah, that arm is sweet.
Okay,
It
so
literally
it's a
steered
replica.
a ship.
It's a replica of Bucky's arm.
No, he
It's
still
not
has
vibranium.
Bucky's arm somewhere.
A replica of Bucky's arm. Let me say that again for you.
She gifted him that? No, she got the real thing, bro.
No, he's saying
Dude.
her arm is a replica, jackass.
Like he made her a replica.
Yeah, but I
Bucky
mean,
molded
Bucky's
his
can't do
arm
that
and
shit.
gave her one?
Bucky's
Wow,
straight vibranium.
what is there to argue about that? It just simply said that he has a. She has
Who
a
is
replica.
arguing? You're the one that's upset. I didn't say shit. It's not a replica, you dumbass. Is it an arm? It's fiber. She literally steered a ship. Bucky's
Ryan,
arm can't do that
Josh.
shit. It's not a replica.
Brian, Josh, please back me up on this.
No, I'm right.
I'm gonna let you guys.
She can make any gun. She can make fucking
All right, you close-minded,
hot glowing
monkey nut
fucking
looking
swords
motherfucker.
out of it. Bucky can't do shit but make a damn fist and
All right.
jerk off with his arm.
All right.
Can't do shit else. What else he gonna do with it?
Idiot hawk to no hose.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's something you and him have in common, dude. Fuck.
I guess.
Catch Cap's shield with it.
Badass. It killed Tony's parents with it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nebula
So what
would have
did
just
you
incinerated him.
what did you guys think? I know we talked about the flashbacks already, so let's talk about the part where Rocket like wakes up, right? You know, it's really emotional. Did you guys? I guess my question is, Did you guys like that scene? Did you fall for it? Did you think he actually died? What did you guys think of like Lila saying this is your story? It's not time yet. Like, what did you guys think of all that?
I got real Harry Potter vibes if you've seen that second part of the seventh movie where he goes and he talks to Death, but Death resembles Dumbledore. That's how it felt for me. So I kind of had a feeling that he was coming back because I was like, oh, I've seen this before. And I was waiting for it too. I was sitting there and I looked at Trevor and I go, she's going to say, but not now. And then she looks at the camera and goes, but it's not your time. Not right now. And I was like, yes, there it is.
Yeah.
so
It definitely got me first. I was really emotional with that. I thought he was gonna die for a slight second, and then when she started talking a little bit more, I was like, oh, he's coming back to life.
How would you guys have felt though if he did die after all that build up and what we're
That would have been so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With those like flashbacks, that would have been tough.
And then it's like with those flashbacks, it's like, you know, he does deserve to be with his friends, you know? Like, granted, he found his friends to fly around with, like he said that he always wanted to do. But you know, those were the OGs. They went through the same exact torture he went through, and then unfortunately didn't make it out because of him. Like, he is the reason that they died that minute, you know, or that second comparatively to the next day. But High Evolutionary knew that he was going to try some shit, so he pulled up with a gun and just shot him.
So when he originally breaks Lila out and they're hugging, and then you hear that loud noise, I thought that it was the valve on her heart. Like, I thought they all had like kill switches in them, and he just like popped the switch, and that's why you just see her and her eyes like fade. And I'm like, damn, did he just make her heart explode? But then you see that he shot her, and I was like, God, it's even worse. Crazy.
I like that it showed how Rocky got his name, and I wish that they didn't show Lila in the trailer before this movie, because if I seen that, I would have been really surprised and really liked that about this movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the one thing I absolutely love about it, to kind of like to tie in that scene with the end, is in all the other Guardian movies and even like the Avengers movies, they call him Raccoon. He never like claims himself as a raccoon, and then the very end he sees that cage of those raccoons, and dude, it's so sad.
Yeah.
And then he's like reading all the like phylum and all that shit, and then sees like,
too. And
Earth
reading that
raccoon.
exactly. That was fucking
it's
beautiful.
Like,
it's like, I'm not a raccoon.
It's
throughout
the end.
the
That's
whole
perfect.
MCU, and now he has to come to terms with it.
And then he says at the end, Captain Rocket Raccoon.
Yep.
Yeah, which is
God,
really
dude,
cool.
it's so fucking
No,
cool.
I want to say that scene where Rocket wakes up, like Chris Pratt's acting there was actually amazing. I think, like,
Yeah.
Dude,
like,
there's an emotional scene. I forget where it comes, but he's like, "That's my best friend. Like, I have to save my best friend." And you're like, "Holy shit!" Like,
Drax is like second.
yeah, dude, that was great.
Drax
That
is
was
second.
that was a good bit throughout the whole movie. Second best
That was
friend.
good.
Second best friend. God, dude.
Second.
I hate. I don't know. Gamora just pissed me off in this movie, and I know that was the intention of her character, but especially on that scene, man, where she's like Quill, he's gone. Like, I was like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Like, let him try. Let him try to save him.
We didn't even mention the part where they're in the ship and they're on what was it called?
Counter Earth.
Counter Earth, and Warpig sneaks in, and like Gamora's taking a dump.
Yeah.
And then she goes
She's blowing that shit up.
yeah, she's blowing that shit up. On Counter Earth too, that's impressive.
She's like, what the hell? She's looking
Yeah.
over.
And then like that Warpig and that, what was it, a hawk or like a falcon or something like that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was sick. And then obviously we just see Adam Warlock just rip the fucking head off a Warpig.
Well, we forget about
Jeez,
that
dude.
little I have no idea. I'm gonna sound stupid, but the little character creature that tags along with Adam Warlock
I
after
think it's Glurp.
really.
A little fluff ball.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about a hilarious ass part where Adam Warlock's his mother's like, all right, show him what you got. And then he fucking
burns the shit
incinerates
out of
him.
the guy.
She's
Yeah.
like, what did you do?
Dude, it is crazy they show it. It's literally just burnt to crisp.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the skeleton.
Yeah.
That was
just sitting
hilarious.
No, we
God,
can
dude,
talk
so
about, well,
good.
we're kind of around it, but when they go and they're on Counter Earth, and then one good bit, Quill keeps saying it's not a trap, it's a duel, or it's a standoff, whatever.
If you know it's a trap, it's not a trap.
Yeah, that was funny.
shit was
But
great.
when he pulls up and Groot fucking comes out with 8 arms, nothing but guns and a
so
grenade.
sick.
Dude, that was so
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Also, did they
Fucking-
describe or explain it at some point, and maybe I missed it, why Groot became just a head and was able to come back onto his body as compared to him becoming a child?
So
in
the
other
thing with
words?
Groot is that the original one that we saw in Guardians 1, it's like an offspring. So it's basically Groot from Guardians 1's kid.
Yeah, Groot died in the first one.
Yeah. But it's so it's a kid, and then it kind of evolves like with like time. So like that's why this one's stockier, and then we
Gotcha.
obviously see at the end, which is like King Groot or whatever the fuck it's called.
Motherfucker is
Groot or
flying,
whatever.
dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Groot's cool. I think it looks kind of cheesy sometimes.
That was
Especially in the
actually
Christmas
Diesel under
special.
there.
Yeah, the Christmas special was kind of, but
Yeah, but the utility of the new one is so cool. When they do that
Oh, yeah,
kaiju
he's
thing, when
badass.
they get to counter
It's
Earth, is so
crazy.
cool. The
Hell
guns
yeah.
sitting under him, which is sweet.
yeah,
Like,
he literally builds
Grew
wings and
wings?
flies
Yeah,
off.
turns
Like,
into a
Yeah.
glider.
yeah,
dude, let's talk
we
about
just
that
see so
that
much-
brutal death of that guy getting
Where he-
dragged into the ground.
Oh, that.
He goes,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the
And then they
hallway
take a
scene.
knife and carve into his head.
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
that's
he goes,
brutal
you'll
too.
kill us both, and then he goes, I'll kill you, and flips him around.
God.
Yeah.
But the best part is the hallway scene that we haven't gotten to
Yeah,
yet.
well,
Yeah, I was
And
saving that. I
also-
was saving that.
But also, best song in the soundtrack, they had the Beastie
Oh,
Boys
dude,
queue
it's
up,
so
bro.
sick.
As
And
soon
it's
as I
literally
heard it,
like
I
2
go,
minutes
no way.
long, just no cuts.
that guy that he took that thing out of his head looked like Ned, dude. I swear to God.
Kinda did, yeah.
You know?
That guy pissed
Yeah.
me off, dude. Anytime I saw him, I was like, "Fuck that." And I don't
Oh, I
even
know.
know.
It was
how
awesome to see him get killed.
Someone knew. I guess no one did know who he was when they saw him on that organic planet.
Right.
But then Quill's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
he
I
like
saw
bumped
that
into
guy."
Peter. Yeah.
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 What
There's
there's one scene I want to talk about before the hallway scene, which I imagine
Okay.
you're gonna talk about. It's a really funny scene where Nebula is mocking Mantis. Well, how did it go?
So,
Yeah.
Tongue out.
Yeah, bro. I want to see
She's like,
that
"That's
again.
not dead. That's not silly." Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That
she's,
whole part
like,
was
I don't know.
she's like, and then she's like, shut up, or something. Like, I don't know, bro.
Yeah,
I like
that,
Mantis. Mantis was great in this one too.
that
I
scene
think
where she
her-
called him an idiot and then made him forget. What do you guys think of that?
Fucked up.
Oh, man, it's
He goes-
dark.
I know he was kind of hurt.
Forget this, and then he instantly goes back to saying the same exact dumbass line he said as soon as they were in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how she fuck, what was the other part? I don't know. Even the one where she tames the creatures. I don't know what those are called, but then she like obviously knew about it. But
Krylags or something.
yeah, and then but the worst part was like when she wiped what's his name's mind, like forget that she called him an
Yeah.
idiot. The end where he's like, "I'll come with you," and she's like, "No." Like I was shocked at that. I thought they were
Yeah,
actually going
man.
to stay together.
They did Drax
Yeah.
dirty in this movie for real.
They did. Drax the dad, not
Yeah.
Drax the destroyer.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what if he's like, I don't want to be a fucking dad? He's like,
I want to kill.
that's
you.
what I was waiting for. Like, I don't want to be a dad.
yeah.
I've never said
Yeah,
it.
I don't know about his ending. But yeah, we could talk about the corridor scene.
Fuck yeah.
I when Rocket, all right, so basically those three come out with those Krylax or those monsters, whatever they're called, and then Peter's like, all right, new plan, let's get the hell out of here because now they have them all, right? And I love how Rocket's like, nah, Peter, I'm done running, and then he cocks his gun and starts to walk, and without a single doubt, everyone on the team just starts following him. Besides Gamora, she rolls her eyes, but like she's not part of the family. Like they're all like, yep, fuck it, we ride with him. I love that scene. And then, like Aiden mentioned, it's like 2 minutes straight. They don't cut away. We're just nonstop CGI action, but it's fucking beautiful. I told these guys after the movie was done, and I was geeking out next to Aiden. Aiden's like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, the scene keeps going. And I think since Endgame, and now there's the Spider-Man swinging, sure. I think this is the coolest scene since Endgame by far. Like, it's up there for me with the airport scene and like Wakanda, like Thor entering Wakanda. Like, it's up there for me. Like, I thought it was badass. I almost want to go see it just for that minute and a half, 2
100%.
minutes.
All right, fuck
The
it.
other thing that I want to take in consideration
Watch it
before
on
we
YouTube.
talk about this 2 minute scene, like this is the best scene in the movie. How is it that James Gunn, like the CGI in this movie is ridiculous, Endgame level CGI, and that's how all the Guardians is, and then we get Thor: Love and Thunder, we get Doctor Strange that are
Because you
complete
have James
dog shit.
Gunn in charge, bro. He's not really.
That's what I'm saying. He's like, he
that
gets what he
guy.
wants.
He
Yeah.
gets what he
that
fucking
guy. He
wants.
is him.
He's
He
him.
is John.
Him and
Yeah,
That's
he is
who
him.
John
James Gunn.
wishes He was, bro.
He/him. Those are his pronouns, man.
No, and two, we didn't mention this earlier, but I just want to mention, like, they've been teasing this, like, Rocket backstory, like him being the main character for a while. In the first movie, and I just rewatched it, and I'll put a clip here, like, showing it, but basically it's like, it's Rocket hurt in the first movie when they're all drunk, basically them calling him a rodent and everything like that, and, like, he doesn't choose to be made this way, like, you know, this like dark backstory. So I feel like the way like everything captured it, like from the flashbacks and stuff, was like really like beautiful. When you watch all three together, it's like you really do feel for him. So I love the backstory in this, and yeah, dude, that action scene was just like so bad. Like he's done running, like he's facing his fears, like he's taking this guy down. I loved it.
Yeah.
Awesome scene.
But
Bradley Cooper.
like you said with the
Yeah.
dude. But I mean, James Gunn came out and said that the whole thing that no one ever caught on was Rocket is the protagonist of these Guardian movies, and that's like insane how they wrap it up, like you said at the end, because it's perfect. What other way could you do it? And but I want to get into the fight scene. We see all them go in, the doors open, slow-mo shot, and then shit just hits the fan. And you said gruesome death by Groot, and I thought you were talking about the one where he literally impales the guy and then spurts different branches out and just pokes every hole in his body.
Brutal
like,
death.
Holy shit. It's just so good, dude. And then it just like, you think that you're like, oh, what's his name doing? And then it pans right to him.
Yeah.
He's just fucking shit up.
I think the dopest part of that that whole hallway scene is when Rocket jumps on Groot's back, and then he swings it. You see it in the trailer. He just swings and he's shooting, and then it just pans. I think Gamora after that,
and then Gamora does that spinning scissor, whatever blade,
and
just
then
cuts that last guy.
Drax throws his knife. I don't want to. For lack of
it's
better
that guy's leg or something.
Yeah, into his leg.
And he swings down like John Wick, like we saw that.
Yeah, because each character gets their moment to shine, too, throughout that montage, that scene, which is really cool. And then, like we mentioned, the No Sleep Till Brooklyn's like the perfect song, I feel like, for that scene.
Now
hey, imagine it's like they're all walking. It's like, hold up, wait a minute.
Fucking great.
Y'all thought I was finished? I would have literally cried laughing, bro. That'd have been the
or back to back. They just had back to back by Drake playing.
Bro, they had to do that. I'm like, you should make a TikTok on like our TikTok where it's
we can start that trend right now.
Yeah,
put that clip and other different songs.
There's a whole bunch of other different songs,
and that shit will fucking take off,
bro.
Dude.
Please,
that's a good idea.
Dreams and Nightmares, first one, bro. That shit, I swear to God, that shit would get millions of views, dude.
I don't even know how to fucking do that shit.
But yeah, let's talk about the part where they, I mean, incapacitate. They don't really kill him, but what do you guys think of like that part? And each of them too also get a hit there. They all like use their finisher. I feel like in taking down.
When they're fucking the High Evolutionary up.
Yeah, Evolutionary there at the end. Yeah, what do you just think of that? And them leaving him alive temporarily. I guess the ship does blow up, but like Rocket not finishing him right there.
Yeah, I didn't like that part. I wish he would have finished them.
He's like, it was a little anticlimactic to me, to be honest with you.
No, I thought the fight was sick, but when he backs off and doesn't finish him, like, all right, like.
Well, you see like his power throughout the whole movie, and then like the Guardians just fuck him up like that easily. Like that was
chaining him.
I know. I didn't really like that. I wish it was a little bit more strung and like sequenced out for just a little bit longer.
Yeah. Well, and I liked too how those gravity boots came back into play that they teased at the beginning of the movie. I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yo.
And seeing them all in their suits was sweet. They look cool in those suits.
With the what's it called, emblem on the front?
Yeah,
Ravagers emblem.
Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah. James Gunn is so detailed, man. He's great. I'm so excited for DC, honestly. Like
honestly, after watching this one, I'm 100% locked in for DC movies.
That goes, that's why he's the GOAT.
The GOAT. That's James Gunn.
What did you guys think of Kraglin and Cosmo?
Cosmo.
I love Cosmo.
Yeah.
Cosmo was sick.
Dude, that was also a good bit where he goes, "You're a
Bad
bad
dog.
dog." He goes,
And
"Come
then
on,
she
just
just
say
strung
it.
up
I
about
know,
it.
I know you don't believe it." He goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
come on."
He goes, she's a good dog, and then she just smashes the fucking.
Well, the funny
Hawk or
part
whatever.
about that is she's fucking Russian. She's fucking for the Soviet Union, was a goddamn spy or whatever.
So the girl that voices her is the girl from Bodies, Bodies, Bodies,
Yeah.
the main girl.
Oh,
So
Pete
that was
Davidson.
pretty cool. Yeah, Pete
Main
Davidson,
girl.
that's what it was.
Speaking of him, he's in this movie too.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm looking at the cast list on Google, and they have Pete Davidson. They have King Bach. What the fuck is he doing in
King
there?
Batch, you idiot.
King Bash. I don't care. Bash of shit.
Dude wasn't on fine.
He's not funny, dude.
Batch is shit. He was never funny. I'll say
They
that.
said Benicio del Toro's in it. I don't know
Yeah,
that, but
David
Nathan
Bautista's
Fillion's
in it.
all three movies. First one he was, I don't know. First one he played something.
Good one.
Second one he was like he didn't play a character, but he was in when Ego was going through his planets. He was
No,
like,
in the
on
first one,
posters.
in the first one, he's that blue alien that Groot goes
Oh,
up to
yeah,
and puts
yeah.
his fingers in his
when they're at
nose
the
and says,
jail and they
yeah, not to mess with Quill.
Yo.
That's his booty or whatever, his loot.
Yo.
So
Booty.
that's who that is. I don't know if is he in the second one?
He's not, but on one of the theaters when they show like Ego's stuff going like the glob,
Okay.
he's got like
Yeah.
3 posters on the thing with his face on it.
And speaking of which, I didn't notice this. I actually heard it on TikTok a few days ago, and then when I rewatched the second movie, Peter's grandpa and his caretaker actually do show up in the second movie for a split second when the blob is going through Earth.
Yo.
The stories at Dairy Queen and everything. You see them like in their car right at the end. It's pretty cool. So
Really?
I didn't
Okay.
even notice he was in it. Yeah, so technically he's in all 3. His grandpa's in all 3 movies. So
Is
that's
his
pretty cool, too.
grandpa a bigger name? I feel like he was like some younger guy, like just like ageified, like made older. He looks so familiar to me. I don't know why, but I could just be stupid.
Well, I know in the first movie he's like his actual age, and obviously they had to age him up, for
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Basically the next part we could talk about is, we mentioned it earlier with Quill's death. Did that get you guys at all? Did you guys like fall for it for a second? And what did you guys think of like Adam Warlock saving him, like the Adam and Eve, like
Adam and Eve
you know?
touch, dude.
Yeah, the
Fucking
touch.
thing.
As
Yeah,
soon as they recreated it, I was like, no fucking way.
yeah, that was funny,
I didn't like that person.
dude. When
That's just
when
me.
the ice happened. And then his face blopped up.
Yeah.
Then it got me. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like how do you come back from that? Like,
Exactly.
That looked crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't hate it, especially. Well, and that was another moment where I leaned over to Trevor and I was like, yo, where the fuck's Adam? Like, because just prior,
Yeah, he's there.
Groot saved him and was like, I am Groot. And then he goes, he's saying everyone deserves a second chance. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, now's your time to shine, asshole.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know.
I wasn't a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. I thought he should have died, but that's just me personally.
Did it upset you though that he went back for the Zune? Because I feel like the Zune, Yondu gave it to him. It's very special to him. Obviously, like in the first movie, they're leaving with the stone, and he goes back to get, his Walkman, right? Like so, like clearly, music is everything to him. We've seen it in all these movies, so it's like.
Yeah.
I feel like his motive made sense, but at the time you're like, "What are you doing, you idiot?" It's like in Infinity War.
Oh,
when he
it
hits
makes no. I'm not mad at
Thanos,
him
like,
at
what are
all
you doing,
for
you idiot?
going back for
Yeah.
it. If
Yeah.
it was like I said though, if it was just for that and he died, I'd have been like, okay, like he needed more of a reason, like saving Gamora, like someone said earlier.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a really good way to kind of tie things up. OSU. I thought that would have been a really good way to tie things up and guilt Gamora into coming back into the team, but then the team not wanting her back because they're all disbanding. I thought that would have been a cool way to go about things, but
Yeah, and then I know too. We talked about like, Gamora going her own way, and I did like that. Her family is the Ravengers. Like that's just her family. She's a different character than the Gamora we had. So I guess it really wouldn't have felt right in a way. I know they're kind of teasing a little bit too, like a little Nebula and Quill kind of shipping thing a little bit.
no.
They're teasing it though. You could tell they're picking up that
That's the
vibe.
thing is, I'm surprised that Nebula didn't like get a love interest in this movie.
Yeah, and I thought at the beginning of the movie that they're hinting at that. That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking. But
It was a
yeah,
good
I
gag,
kind of
though.
liked that she went her own way. It made sense. Like,
Well, Zoe Saldana is done with the role. This is
Yeah.
like she wanted to be done with it after 2, but I think Gunn convinced her for the third after Endgame.
Well, I mean, how could you be done with a role realistically? Do this character and make money and.
Well, she doesn't want her. She said she didn't want to spend her whole career in green paint. Like that's really what she said. And then the same thing with Bautista. Like he didn't want to. He was done after this one. Like you've seen that. Like you heard it before in tweets and interviews.
Yeah, but then she went on to make millions of dollars of being even more high-grossing movies, outside of Avatar and
just
stuff.
letting her get different opportunities.
I think it worked out for her, but yeah, I know, I agree. I think she said it like now, like this newest movie, it still took about like 3 hours a day to get it all on and stuff. And like I know, Dave Bautista said like putting it on his chest and everything. Because remember the first 2 movies, he's like shirtless. Like that process took forever. So that's why like in Infinity War and like even this newest movie, he has like clothes on. So it's like, and even in the Christmas special, he had the sweater on. So, I think it works for the character. But and then too, we could talk about, the ending scene where they're all in that huddle. I do want to mention. At first, I was caught off guard when Groot spoke, but then I read that James Gunn explained that it's us as the audience finally being part of the family and understanding it. I love that. That was a cool touch.
That was good.
I was gonna say, as soon as I read that, I was like, all right, I love it. Because even though
Yeah.
Going out of it before knowing that, I didn't mind it. I was like, all right, like this is a send off. Like I didn't interpret it necessarily as James Gunn, but I did take it as the Guardian saying goodbye. Like, love you guys, we did it. Here's our trilogy. Big dick on the table now because here is arguably the best trilogy from MCU.
Yeah. And the one thing is, I think like it's great. I love it, but a lot of people are gonna be say the next time Groot shows up, they're gonna be like, "Can we understand him?" Like, they're gonna be like, "How come he's still saying I am Groot?"
Mm-hmm.
Or they're gonna have him talk.
Yeah,
I mean, you have no idea.
That was also funny too because I said that at work today. I was like, someone brought it up. I was like, that was fucking stupid. And I go, what do you mean, dude? We've been watching these guys for years. You didn't think we'd pick up on what that means?
Yeah, but then does that mean next time we see him, we're gonna be able to understand everything he says, which would be pretty sick.
I think no, but to be fair, like Vin Diesel, bro, like when I heard it was actually him, like you can hear it a little bit when he says "I am Groot," but when you heard "I love you" and it sounded like fucking Fast and Furious, I was like, all right, dude, like,
You should have said family instead.
Yeah, family. That would have been hilarious.
God, dude.
No, but I think what's so sad about the ending, even though we didn't lose anybody technically, but like I think it's and if this was only a standalone movie and this is the first time we meet these characters, then the ending wouldn't be that sad. But it's like Brian mentioned, we've been with these characters for 10 years now. I mean, since 2014. So it's like we feel like we're part of the family. Like they are a family. They're not just a team. They're not just friends. They're family. And that's that point that I was talking about earlier when like Rocket was like, no, I'm done running. Like, and they without a second thought just followed him in there because they're family. So them breaking up at the end is heartbreaking, but I think it works for each of the characters, and it made sense for like Peter going home to see his grandfather and stuff like that. So
I agree.
I
definitely agree.
Yeah.
But
any trivia?
Just ready to break it down?
Nope. Yeah, we can kind of get into reviews here. I mean, we can talk about the end credit scenes really quick. I know we talked about them already, but new team. We'll probably see them in Avengers, right? Is that what we're thinking? They'll definitely pop up again, right? Maybe they might look a little different.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's end credit scenes that we've seen 5 years ago that haven't even tied in yet. So
it's gonna be a long
Did you see
payoff.
In that second end credit scene, the newspaper the grandpa was reading had the Kevin Bacon tells all about being abducted by aliens. That shit cracked me up.
Like, I love that he went to Earth.
I said that, and Trevor was like, "It did not say that." And I was like, "Yes, it did, dude."
Oh yeah. My thing is that I like how he goes to Earth, but I don't like the fact that they said the legendary Star-Lord will return.
In white, it was white background with black text too. So a lot of people are saying that they think it might be a different version of him. What do you guys think of that? Like, was that weird at all to you guys?
Like, why at that point? No one watches Guardians because Star-Lord's in it.
Well, I took it as he's going to return in like a team-up movie or an Avengers movie or something like that. But I guess a lot of people are confused as to why it was a white text background with black text on it instead of what it usually is.
My guess,
a lot of people are confused.
Something's going to pop on Earth. He's going to be one of the first responders because he's on Earth, and then probably not be in any more of the movie.
I mean, worst case scenario, they just have him pop in randomly because he's on Earth, and maybe he has some like crazy shit on Earth. But he still has the opportunity to go back and forth, though.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think he should have died. That's just me. But I mean, he'll definitely pop up in like a team up here, whether it's in a bigger movie or like an Avengers, obviously. But I don't know. I don't think it's anything that's like, and there's no meaning behind that. I think it's just the way James
Clearly,
Gunn
he's coming back though.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's what I said. I said right when I saw that, I know fucking what's his name and his family are sitting there. Why can't I think of his name now? Star Lord's
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. They're like, huh? Like, yeah. They see he's getting
Dude,
a fucking bag again.
It's crazy.
No one else is coming back, but he's coming back.
Isn't it crazy that in theaters right now the two biggest movies are him?
Yeah,
Like Mario and this. It's kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
And Mario and this movie both have No Sleep Till Brooklyn in it too, which is really funny. Also,
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to give Chris Pratt his flowers. I mean, literally anything that he's in that it makes a shit ton of money,
He's
and he does a good job.
He's a good actor.
Jurassic Park was the greatest thing that he could have gotten, let alone Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
He's in some movies, man. Fucking,
Hell yeah.
And yeah, that's crazy, man. He has a crazy catalog.
Yeah, he's
And
still
he got to play
young.
Mario, a white
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, and they're definitely
0%
gonna make more movies
Italian
of
plays
that.
Mario.
No,
Which
they're
is
definitely making
crazy.
more of those. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, he'll be in
Yeah.
his bag there. But
No, I'm down to shut it down.
all right.
I can go ahead and give my score.
Yeah, so I just want to say Andrew had to leave, but he is giving a score of 93 out of 100, so he really liked it. I believe he gave Mario a 95,
Damn.
so yeah, he liked
93?
Mario even more.
I don't know about
Yep.
that.
Yeah, Mario being a 95 is kind of high.
Bro.
But
Wait, Mario,
yeah,
was he even on Mario?
no, but he saw it, and it's on the website.
I don't think
This
so.
this guy's high, man. But
This
Yeah,
guy
95 is a little
blows.
nuts. He saw it a couple times in theaters too, I believe.
I mean, it's a quick watch.
Yeah, so for this movie, Guardians 3, he's giving it a 93 out of 100. But go ahead, Aiden.
That's a bad score, but
smoking dick.
like I said, this is a conclusion finale to the Guardians as a whole. I think they did a good job. The only thing, I mean, obviously you're watching these trailers, you're waiting for someone to die. No one dies, which is good. I mean, how could you be upset that you don't lose any of your favorite characters? But I mean, I'm more sad that James Gunn isn't going to be directing another MCU film rather than we're not going to get another Guardians movie, because I mean, this is like I said, it's like a capstone to what he has put his hands on in the MCU, and it only opens the gates for DC. I didn't have any care in the world for DC movies, and now I'm fucking first in line. I can't wait to see what he does with it. But Guardians as a whole, like I said, it was one of the darkest MCU movies. Michael disagree, but that shit was sad as hell. Definitely multiple moments where you get teary eyed. And that's kind of the only thing that's stopping me from wanting to rewatch this, because it's it reminded me more of Marley and Me. I've seen that movie and I never want to rewatch that again because it was sad as hell.
It's not that sad. Now you're.
It wasn't
sad
that
as
sad, but it is
It's
sad.
sad as hell.
It's probably not as sad being at home, watching it, but you were invested in that theater and that shit was sad.
Brian, have you ever had a dog?
No.
Never. I'm allergic.
Okay, so how would you say that it's sad?
Marley
No,
and Me
that's
still a
not
sad
sad.
movie. I've had relatives that had dogs that I grew up with, motherfucker.
Yeah, but
I
it's
know,
not
but
the
dude,
same.
it's different.
It's not the same.
I don't know
But-
if it is, bro.
Either way, this movie was
I definitely
great.
couldn't watch that shit now.
And it's definitely one of my favorite MCU movies. I mean, I can't. I kind of think of all the Guardians as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you could break them all together, but it feels like one whole movie. And even those end game bits and all that stuff, it doesn't really, go into consideration with the three movies. But I don't know, man. I mean, I love it. It sucks that it's over with, but it was a good ride. I'm glad that we have access to these movies at the touch of a finger, like Disney Plus. I'll probably rewatch Guardians one tonight. But no, I mean, as a whole, with this movie just alone, I feel confident giving it a 97 out of 100. I think that it was great. Everything that you wanted in a movie was good. High Evolutionary, give him his fucking props. That guy is
Yep.
a good ass actor, and anytime he's on screen, the presence was there. I feel like he was more. He had a stronger presence on screen than Kang did in Quantum Mania.
Yeah,
And
people are
they had
saying he's a
similar-
better villain than Kang.
Honestly, they probably did. They just tested, and now they're like, all right, screw it. They're gonna have him as the new Kang, and I think that would be insane, dude. But
Yeah.
he's good, and I'm excited to see more because damn well he's gonna be in DC stuff, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be dope. and I'm
Well,
excited
James
for that.
Gunn said that one of the Guardians are going to be in Superman At least one
Yeah.
of them. So
He works with so many people of the same people too. Like work with people
Yeah.
I guess.
And
So
you would
I
never
was
know.
shocked
It's
by
probably
that.
his damn brother.
Yeah, like Mantis might, you never know.
Yeah.
Drax.
I think it would be probably Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Or imagine Bradley Cooper live action.
Yeah, that'd be
yeah,
cool.
That'd be fucking
That'd
sick.
be hype, man.
Mike, do you want to go next? I feel like your score's gonna be a little lower than me and Brian's.
Yeah, man. Dude, when I heard 97, my jaw literally dropped, man. That's fucking crazy. You're saying that Guardians 3 is a better movie than The Dark Knight?
I'm not comparing the two.
But like you
This
gave
is
it
a
a high...
sci-fi space adventure. Dark Knight is a realistic
okay.
Chicago, Gotham. Batman doesn't have superpowers. He's just rich.
So
Spoiled
but you gave
asshole.
The Dark Knight a lower score than you gave Guardians 3. Just know that.
But I mentioned that it's as a whole.
Go listen to that rewind if you haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good plug.
Oh,
Okay,
you know what?
good plug, man,
I
for
feel
sure.
confident giving that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, you gotta stand on it now on all 9 toes you have.
I got 10 toes. I got 9 fingers.
Oh,
10 toes down,
nine
always.
figure film, man.
I'm 10
All right.
toes down, 9 fingers up. Simple as that.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah, I think High Evolutionary is definitely a top 5 MCU villain. This is a really emotional film, not a dark film. I'm gonna reiterate that. I love that this movie was through Rocket's eyes. That he was the main protagonist, and the way I forgot who said it, but that pretty much like the first 2 Guardians movies were through him, like he was the protagonist. Like when you say that, it kind of does make sense now. I think that like I can definitely see that. And obviously I am a big Bradley Cooper fan. He is my favorite actor, even though that this is a voice acting performance of his. It's still up there, I think, for his best performances. But I have a couple grieves with this movie, like I talked about throughout the whole podcast. I wish Quill would have died, to be honest with you. I wish they would have taken the path of Gamora a little bit differently. But I do think that it all ties in together at the end. And even though there are some forgettable parts in this movie is one of the funniest movies of the MCU, if not the funniest movie. And it is a really fun and exciting watch. And I think, obviously, if you're an MCU fan, you have to watch this. And you probably already are. And you're just listening to it just to see our little feedback that we have on it. Hey, Sanch. But, with that said, man, I'm going to give it an 85 out of 100. That may seem a little low for people, but I think that's pretty on par.
You gave Love and Thunder a higher score than that.
Did I really? I 1,000,000%. But what did Aiden give?
If you're gonna call out Aiden,
Call him out.
you and Aiden both gave it like an 88 or 89. It was like high 80s.
No, I didn't give
Fine,
it
son,
an
I'm
88.
97.
You want to pull it up?
Pull it up right now. But 80.
I'm just
You
saying
can't
you're
switch
bullying
score, man.
Aiden
You
for
gotta
his
stick on
picks.
it.
I think I gave it an
Yeah.
86. I think I gave it an 86, which I 1,000,000% would change. But it's different because. But here's the thing: it's different
Go ahead.
because we literally just recorded Dark Knight, and Aiden gave it a higher score than a Dark Knight. So compare 6 months to not even 6 hours, but
Doesn't
beyond
matter,
the
dude.
point.
You just
80
ranked Love and Thunder over this. That's worse than Dark Knight.
You just
over-
gave this a higher score than the Dark Knight.
All right,
Would
Aiden gave it an 86. Mike gave it an 82. So I was wrong.
What did I give
I-
it?
Wow.
You gave it a 75, Brian.
Yeah, again, I would like to reiterate, I am dropping that score.
Every Marvel movie
yeah,
we
so
do, we
I
just
think-
shit on that
so
one.
we're 2 Marvel movies in.
It's one of the
since that
worst.
one.
That was our 5th episode.
It's got Christian fucking Bale in it. It's still
You
one
gave
of
it
the
an
worst.
89, Aiden? You were
86,
high.
86.
I gave it an
86.
89 for Christian Bale. I thought Gore was sick, but they just had wasted potential.
All right,
I agree
so
with
I'm
that.
gonna take
But
over
86
now.
is crazy.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
All right, quit your bitching, boys. Long night.
Yeah. Eat my dust, Aiden, by the way.
All right,
I
so
gotta eat
like I
burger.
said, first things first. Shut the fuck up.
Go ahead, Brian.
First thing, I'm
You look
dropping,
nice today, too.
I'm dropping my
Rest in peace,
score
Uncle
of
Phil.
Thor once again
For real.
because that movie was such fucking dog shit. The movie is now for me a 25. All right, that's where we're keeping it. It's down there.
All right,
Fuck that
shut
movie.
up. Shut up, Brian.
Terrible movie. Now this movie, I fucking loved it. James Gunn proved that he is that fucking guy when it comes to making Marvel movies. And we saw the Peacemaker TV show. We've seen Suicide Squad, the second one. And I have nothing but high hopes now for what the fuck's about to happen with DC, especially because now I'm in between Aiden and Mikey about calling this movie dark. It's definitely emotional, but I do think there is darker aspects to it. So that's again why I have high hopes for DC. We're really going to be able to capitalize on how dark it is. Aside from James Gunn, though, when you get this movie, dude, like what's really hype about all of the Guardian movies as a whole is that you're just there for the Guardians. You're not there to see something else pop up. You know, like yeah, in the first one we see him take on fucking what's his name? It wasn't Thanos. It was
Ronan.
Yes,
Ronan, yeah.
you see him take him on and to get one of the Infinity Stones, and you're like, okay, what the fuck's this all about? You don't really know what's going on just yet. And then you get to the second one, and you get this awesome father-son duo where, oh, dad's back, he's going to take care of me. Oh, wait, my dad is the biggest villain I've ever fucking met. You get to this third one again, and here you are. You don't really know what's going on, especially if you're like me, didn't watch a trailer. And you get to see Rocket's backstory. And again, like Josh said, it's brought up around from time to time where they tiptoe around it and they never go into it. And Rocket doesn't want to tell you why. And you could see why because of what High Evolutionary was doing to him. Fucking crazy. This whole movie, I'm not sitting there waiting for a Doctor Strange pop up. I'm not waiting for Thor to come in. I'm there for the fucking Guardians. And that's where this doesn't even feel like an MCU movie because of how shitty they've been lately. So, with that being said, I'm going to go a little lower than what Josh is expecting, but comfortably an 89 on this. Now,
Okay.
I do want it known, too, when it comes to funny, this isn't like... that's what I enjoyed. It is fucking hilarious. Like, it's just fucking great, but it's that tasteful hilarious. Like, they're not making a quick quip out of nowhere for no goddamn reason. Like, everything in there was written so well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely 89 out of 100. Rewatchability, I don't know if I'll probably end up rewatching it as soon as it gets thrown into Disney, and then after that, I'll probably only rewatch it whenever I decide to rip through that trilogy again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, also, all the flowers to I'm not even gonna attempt to say his name, but High Evolutionary. If anyone else deserves a fucking Oscar, it's him. Angela Bassett really deserved it, but this motherfucker
Did you
bag.
did you get emotional at all watching the movie?
I did. I definitely did.
Okay.
Especially like what really got me, and we brought it up. It was at the end.
Did you?
What are you guys laughing about?
What the fuck kind of question is that?
I'm just curious. I didn't get to see it
Brian.
with him, so I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Dude,
this
And
is
Cody
fair.
told me
Right.
he was pretty emotional.
Yeah,
Brian, did you feel any type of emotion?
I mean, this is
throughout this
fair.
movie?
Usually, I'm sitting right next to you guys, and you can see my actions as it happens live. This one was not the case, unfortunately.
Usually, me and Brian are holding hands.
Exactly, we are because I'm just so nervous. But yeah, no, especially, dude. So we talked about it, but when Nebula saw the clip, it was like, oh my god, like this is worse than what Thanos did. It like really puts it into perspective how fucked up things were. But then you watch his friends die. But again, the one that really gets me is at the end when he goes back for the other animals and just fucking starts scooping up all the other raccoons and throwing them on him. And he finally understands that, yeah, he technically is Vermin, but he's not because he is high evolutionary's like fucking wet dream. Like he is the reason that he can't fucking like make the
You're
perfect
sick,
universe.
dude.
Like it's the craziest thing. But yeah, it definitely was an emotional roller coaster. And then even at the end, Quill going to see his grandpa, bro, like that kind of got to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know what these guys are laughing about.
He said this Rock is the High Evolutionary's wet dream.
It is. That's why he wants him the whole movie. It's his
I know, but that's just a crazy way of putting it.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
We like to have fun here.
That's borderline.
Hey, that one scene I just want to say this really quick. At the beginning of the movie when they're like, why don't you just touch Quill and make him happy? That shit was
Oh,
funny
that
as
shit was
fuck.
hilarious.
Not like that.
They go, not like
Yeah,
that.
Groot.
Just
Yeah, Groot thinking. Yeah, that's funny. So,
Oh, man.
no, I you know, you guys kind of said a lot. I agree with everything you guys said. Clearly, it's one of the funniest movies we've gotten in a while. Probably since like Ragnarok, honestly. Like, you know, and that's 2017, so it's been a while. And like this movie's pretty dark and it is emotional as hell. And the fact that it can still be that funny is pretty awesome. And it feels like an adventure movie. Like there's not a ton of bad things you could say about it. Like if I'm nitpicking, I guess like the High Evolutionary in the second half of the movie is just doing a ton of screaming. ton of screaming.
Yeah.
And then I was like, damn, this dude's just like constantly pissed off. But maybe it's just part of the character. So it's like, I'm just nitpicking at things. And obviously, like, I think the soundtrack, we mentioned it earlier too, great. You know, like I said, I've been listening to it on rewind since we've seen the movie, and I'm sure I'll listen to it again for next couple weeks. You know, and this movie's really stuck with me. I feel like I've thought about it nonstop since we've seen it, and it's been 4 or 5 days. I think that shows kind of how powerful the movie really is, and you know, to end a trilogy on this type of note is pretty incredible. You know, it wasn't like an L or anything like that. Like he did a great job closing out this trilogy, and you really do feel like you're part of the family at the end. So seeing them break up was like pretty emotional, I feel like, for most people. So I'm gonna go with the 94. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's top 5 or 6 for me now. It might be. I think I slightly like Guardians 1 a tad bit more. Guardians 1 has always been in my like top 3, top 5 consistently since 2014. So
MCU movies?
Yeah, MCU movies. I think. Are you talking about Guardians 1 being top 5 and Guardians?
No, 3.
Oh, 3, yeah.
No,
I think it's
1
top
for
6
sure.
or 7, probably, like right around there. That mark for me. I think so. I don't know. I'd have to go through my list again. Endgame slowly just keeps coming down a little bit for me. Slowly.
Me too.
I love Endgame, but yeah. Infinity War is my number 1. I love Infinity War. I think it's one of the best superhero movies, behind The Dark Knight. But yeah, that being said, you know, that was kind of our review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know, go download on Apple, Spotify, go check us out on YouTube and everything. TikTok, yep. We're gonna have a OnlyFans, yep. We're gonna have a special guest on our next episode. We're doing the Fresh Dispatch with that's Wes Anderson. Our Wes Anderson pros coming back, so that'll be our Tuesday episode. So tune in for that. But yeah, guys, thanks for listening.
Yep.
All right.
I'll see you guys later.
Love you guys.
Peace out. See you next week.
Family.
Love you guys.
Family.
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
I'll take that. I'll take that as I love you too. All right.
See you guys.
See you.
Peace out. Do we get chilling here for a minute?
Yeah, that